Just want to leave you there for a second on your own. So I'm smirking away. What's crack, lads? Welcome to another live chat. I'm just going to tidy up the screen here and get us a little bit bigger on the screen. How he is? Welcome back to another live stream from HiiKER. How are you, lads? How are you doing this week?
How's things?
Good. All good. How are you all?
I'm chippy as ever. Chipper as ever. Chirp. I'm fine.
Good.
So this week on the live chat, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One in particular was the big anchor event, is that we're going to talk about waypoints. And it's one of the features that is kind of constantly being asked to be kind of not necessarily explained, but like, what can you do with waypoints? What are the possibilities? What are the kind of different ways you can use waypoints throughout the app? Use it for different use cases and stuff like that. So we're going to go through. Pete is going to be loading up his phone now in a second, and we'll talk about that. For our iOS users as well, you might have noticed that there was an issue this week. So Paul might just quickly kind of cover what happened there, and that it is resolved now. And yeah, I think beyond that, maybe a couple of different chats about hike plans, different things that are going to go on for the next couple of weeks. I know, Paul, you're going out on the Pennine Way again soon. I'm thinking about going out on a hike myself very soon as well. So we might have a quick chat about that. Paul, do you want to kick us off? Like the issue that we were having on iOS in the last few days kind of affected a handful of users. But just if anybody was affected by this in any way, shape, or form, and if you're watching this, what happened?
So yeah, like I suppose I can. I will dive into the technicals. Essentially, we had a new version of our mapping software coming out. We use a mapping software called Mapbox for kind of our base level maps, not the actual kind of mapping tiles, which might be kind of complicated for some people to hear, but yeah, not our actual mapping tiles, but our mapping software in itself. But essentially, they had an update to that I suppose was no longer compatible with what we were doing, so it caused some users' maps to go blank. That was scary. It was stressful. It was difficult, but at the same time, we methodically, and I suppose Pete and myself just methodically kind of went through piece by piece by piece. We thought it was something much more complicated to do with the whole kind of map style JSON that we were using. But in getting to that solution, we figured out that it was actually a caching issue. And for somebody who's kind of interested in kind of web and stuff like that, essentially we didn't have some of our caching headers properly set. So that was resulting in the map kind of JSON that's required to style the map and to show the map for users there, not to be presented properly. But we got it fixed, we got it resolved, and it seems to be working properly now. I have seen a couple of users poking out saying that they've been seeing issues since then, but we do think it's just kind of let's call it a hangover from that issue. But again, I emphasize, jump into the comments here, jump into the Facebook group. I'm sure, as you can see us talking about it here, it's not something we're trying to hide. We're very into building in the open and being very open about what's happening in the business. So we want to hear the problems. We don't want to hide them. But equally, we want to show you guys how quickly we're getting on top of this, how responsive we want to be, and how much we have an insanely wild desire to make this product as perfect and reliable as it possibly can be. And that's what we want to do every single day and every single week.
Well, that's just to follow up on that, I suppose. Getting technical again in the way that we're having to do things in order to provide these mad map collections and the best quality maps possible and show them all at once and show them to everybody. We've had to do things super different. Like, we've had chats with our map providing systems and they're like, we don't know how you're really doing this. And we're like, okay, well, we know how we're doing this, but we're using you guys to facilitate and we're changing your processes in order to get this stuff done. So yeah, I suppose these things can happen when we're renegades like ourselves.
Yeah, that's
one of the things you said there, Paul, about the Facebook group, and again, join the Facebook group, is that's kind of our community support system. And like, we do have like an in-app customer chat and a website chat as well, where it's one-on-one. But what you'll see on that Facebook group is it's kind of peer-to-peer. Like, we're seeing a lot of our users that are responding to other users and telling them how to resolve these issues, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have the ability right now to build a full kind of user kind of community forum on our website just yet. But Facebook is filling that void, and it's class. You know, probably going to find it really difficult to put ourselves away from that and put it onto the website. But for now, it's just a great way to do that, and also you get to look at pretty pictures from the outdoors as well. On top of that,
we like pictures.
Right, for the pictures. So we do want to get onto waypoints. So Pete, you've loaded up your phone there as per usual, and you're going to talk us through. So maybe just talk us through like the basics of like how to find waypoints in the app, and then how to create them, I suppose, is the...
Well, I suppose even before that, what are waypoints?
Well, what are points?
So yeah, so like I suppose waypoints are markers that you can set onto the map to identify particular areas that you want to be able to identify while you're hiking. If you want to hike to them, if you want to hike by them, if you want to have them options for an alternative to your route. And they cover all, we kind of feature a bunch of types that you can set these waypoints to, like shops and viewpoints and picnic benches and all sorts of things that you can just set along the map to just enhance the experience and document your experience as well, which is actually what I do a lot when I'm hiking. Now you will have to I'll explain just a little bit further. So when you're on any of our maps, you'll see our action buttons on the bottom left of the screen, and the little icon with the plus is our waypoints option. And that'll bring up the waypoints menu. And just to show all of your waypoints, which I'm going to do now, you just toggle on the switch here. So that essentially will load up. I deleted all my waypoints. I have deleted all my waypoints.
That was a bold strategy.
In doing a super quick clear out before this demo, I've managed to delete all my waypoints. So look, I suppose this gives us the great opportunity to add new waypoints. So I'm going to come down here and I want to add a waypoint for Anacreevy Woods here. So I'm going to essentially focus my cursor, which is the little crosshairs in the middle of the screen here. I'm going to focus that on Anacreevy Woods. I'm going to tap on my waypoints option, and then I'm going to look at the second option here, which is add a new waypoint, and that's going to add it directly here. And it's automatically picked the last waypoint type that I've added, which is a shop type. So just, it won't be like that for you. It'll be the custom waypoint. And that then tapping on that waypoint allows me to kind of edit some of the details. I can add photos. I can plan a route to that waypoint. I can edit the details. I can even share that waypoint in all sorts of different ways through a link. I can export it as a GPX file. And then I can open up on things like Apple Maps and even Street View map, which I'll demonstrate in a little bit. But anyway, just to run through. So I've decided that I want to save a location for Anacreevy Woods, and these are all of our types here. We've got accommodation types and amenity types, so it's just a handy way to kind of identify some of these markers and give them an icon. I'm going to put this back to maybe, so say I found a shelter in that area, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to give it a name, which is Anacreevy. That'll do. And you can also give it a description, photos, and then also add it to groups, so you can collect some of these waypoint types in different groups for yourself, and then you can set them to private and public depending on how you wish to share them. Obviously, when I post this, it's never going to go public to everybody. People aren't going to know where you're planning things. This is just so you can, if you wanted to share them and then kind of rescind any of the access, you can set that to private. So I'm going to save that. It's going to update. Did I update the type?
Save that? Or did you just dismiss it?
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
We're back. I didn't save it actually, but anyway. So that's added the shelter type. I'm going to add the name, Greevy. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. And that's there. Right. So that works. So yes, just in terms of the other options down on our menu here, we can go and look at all of the waypoints. Okay, that has saved twice. The technical issues are happening for me, but that's okay. So anyway, just in our waypoint options here, you can view all of your waypoints. When I click that, it'll show me an entire list of all of the waypoints that I've added. You can search for a waypoint up in this search bar, or you can filter by type here just by toggling on any of these filter options, just as an easy way to kind of search for different areas. And then obviously when you're trying to find a particular waypoint and you found it in the list, you can click go and it'll zoom in to the area where that waypoint is, which is handy as well. So I am having a particular difficulty with waypoints today for some reason, of course. But anyway,
I will emphasize Pete's using a test version of the app here, but
that could be it actually.
yeah. I can even pull up my phone if you prefer, Pete.
Yeah, do you know, it might be good because, as I said, I think I've just wiped out all my waypoints, and that's probably causing me issues on this test version. So if you do manage to get that up and running in the next couple of minutes, then
yeah, I think that the really actually I had a question in there from where is he gone? Looking up here now. I had to screenshot it on Instagram because it doesn't come up in the comments here, so I have to do this. So question about waypoints. Can you trace your own route between waypoints with your finger or something? When I plot a route on HiiKER, it automatically joins the dots between each point. Thanks. And that's from Matthew O'Queen, who was also a competition winner back last month, whenever we did that. So how you doing, Matthew? So yeah, can you trace a route between waypoints? And I suppose that's something, Paul, that you're going to be able to load up now in a moment as you're getting that all set up. I suppose just to be clear about the distinction between kind of trail points or drag points or control points, if you will, and there's those, and then there's waypoints. So there are two different things. So when you're plotting your route, you can, as we had up in the previous chat where we were talking about plotting routes, you can press on the map and it will just automatically snap from one place to another. You can plot a route to a waypoint from your position as well. It's actually in the waypoint options, but that will plot a route from your exact position right now.
So yeah, right. I can just simply go into the waypoints there, and at any point in time, I could just plan a trail to a waypoint. So that will use your specific location. I'm currently in Liverpool, so it's a bit of a trek for me. It's bringing me by the Isle of Man. What an adventure I'm going on there. But you can get the idea of the functionality there, that it will ultimately plan a route from your current location to that waypoint. So again, it's really, really helpful to kind of quickly be able to just kind of grab a specific waypoint and just to plot a route immediately there. So it's one of the items that are useful. I think there's a lot of different ways people can use waypoints, but for me, generally, like more often than not, what I'm doing is just as I'm going along on a hike. So, for example, I will be back on the Pennine Way this coming weekend, which is somewhere around the area here. Generally, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like grabbing it as I'm going there, just tapping in and adding a new waypoint. And like really, like very often for me, kind of it's even after my hike, I can go in and like add some notes there, or even during my hike there, if there's any particular information or detail I want to add, I can just, again, simply tap on that waypoint. I can tap on edit details there, and I can see any of the information I want. So I can say, really great view. And with a little exclamation mark, I could even reassign this to be of type viewpoint if I wanted to. I can click save on that, and then that looks exactly the way I want it to. And again, it has all of my details in there as well. My really great view. Again, at any point in time, I haven't got to pre-prepare my photos, so I won't embarrass both myself and my family by pulling up my photos there, but I can quickly attach a photo in there as I go. And honestly, it's really as simple as that. Waypoints are very, very simple functionality. It's simply if you want to mark a dot on the map, and that is really it. And honestly, one of the most helpful things that I love about waypoints is just that simplicity of tap, add, move over here, tap, and then add, and then tap, and then add. And then one of the really great things as well is this works entirely offline. But also, whenever you go back online, this will all sync up to the cloud, and you can go ahead and you can view these directly on the HiiKER website. So it's a very, very simple feature in many ways, but it's a handy, quick, and easy feature. And I think, you know, from the feedback that I've gotten from so many users, that's exactly what they wanted. But we did go, let's say, kind of a step further to really get some of these items right here. And I do want to demonstrate something very quickly. If I go back over to Ireland here, for example, and then I'm going to go to my profile here. I'm going to tap on settings. I'm going to go to customize, and then I'm going to go to coordinate reference system. I'm going to set this to Irish grid. I'm going to go all the way back to the map here. So now if you can see it, my coordinates bar at the top there, just at the very, very top of the map where it says S818, and then in the second section it says 47908. This is a really, really convenient element that I think is one of the most helpful elements of even to coordinate with waypoints. So if, for example, Pete calls me up and said, hey guys, I'm not sure if you've ever been to Mount Leinster, but there is, and there isn't really, but anyway, let's just play in this scenario. There's an amazing crash site there. You have to go see it. That crash site is at S8215300. So again, because we have a dynamically updating kind of coordinates bar up there, I can just scroll through the map here and I can go to S281532, and I can simply just tap there, add a waypoint, and you can see there with the dot that it adds the waypoint right at the perfectly right place. If I actually scroll down here, you can see right at that exact location, it's added a waypoint just right at this point here. And that is super, super helpful for you to be able to mark any of those points that in a hiking group somebody might have recommended, or even just anywhere else you've heard online, hey, you know, if you want to see this place, go to S821532. You can add it right there. It's really, really helpful. And again, one of the things you can do as well is if you're ever kind of, you know, in a waypoint or you want to zoom to a waypoint, scroll all the way down, tap on its location, and you can see the map there at the top actually kind of reorientates to go exactly to that very point. I think it's an underrated feature in many ways of HiiKER, but it's something that can be so helpful for planning out your routes, planning interesting locations, and helping yourself when you're on trail to find those interesting locations.
But if you go back into the options there, Paul, and go to not for waypoints, just go into your main options menu, and then
yes,
your main options, and then go for go to location. So you can also change the tab over to search location, and then you can actually type in an address.
District National Park. Tap on there, and then immediately it'll offer it to me. Excellently suggested, Owen, might I say, but immediately bring me over there.
That can really help for, say, for instance, you're looking up the addresses for hotels or campsites, or you've been given an address for I don't know, some sort of like lunch spot or something like that. So if you don't have grid reference, because grid references are, you know, definitely like you kind of have to learn how grid references work. You can just be given one, and you can just type it in and it'll be fine. You don't necessarily have to know how they work. But addresses, you can just type in the name of the address and you can go straight to it. One of the other great things about the waypoints is how you can actually use it alongside our points of interest, our amenities and our accommodations. So if you can open up any trail there, Paul, GR5, you can hop in, or Wicklow Way.
The classic.
Opening up the map, and then if you go into your options and then load up some of the POIs. So these are points of interest that we have a huge database of, like, what, 300,000 points of interest around the world, all within, you know, a reasonable distance of the trail. But this is to be improved. Again, we're going to be putting points of interest wider throughout the app and through the map. So there's a huge amount. What's that?
We'll talk about that in a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think we will. So now you've got like all these different points of interest that are on this route, and this is exactly what I'm going to be doing now in the next few days, as I'm going down to Dingle to do the Dingle Way. So I'm going to be looking at some of the points of interest, the hotels, or maybe the campsites that are along the Dingle Way, coffee spots. Paul, I might pick your brain for that as well. And then if you open up one of those POIs, just tapping on one of them, and if you scroll up, you can add to your waypoints. And now that's part of your itinerary. So you can actually then show, so I think you need to, there you go. You can give that a name, give it a description. And then probably the most important part of that if you're building an itinerary, is added to a waypoint group. So Wicklow Way peaks. So these are all the lists of all the peaks that I'm going to reach or to go to when I'm doing the Wicklow Way, or Dingle Way pubs. All the pubs I'm going to visit when I'm on the Dingle Way. And I think that's just it. Like, that's definitely a use case that I've seen people using it for.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as I mentioned before in previous chats, I've seen people using it, and I have used it for ultra running, and using it for crew stops and a bunch of different things like that. So there's just so many different ways you can use it. It's akin to, or very similar to, like dropping a pin on Google Maps, but just with a hell of a lot more detail and more kind of use cases that you can use it for.
It's definitely the type of thing that increases in value the more you use it. And I think people who come across it first are like, oh, interesting, like I'll put a point there. But then people start to kind of figure out, and I've seen so many different use cases in terms of people creating their own, as I said earlier on, documenting their own hikes, like laying down markers on things they've found and interesting points. And then even like what Paul actually didn't show you earlier on is like some of the sharing capabilities. You can download a bunch of them as GPX files, send them onto your mates, or import them to other softwares. So I've seen like hikers use this. We've seen businesses use this for different reasons in terms of like marking out data sets and creating information sets. So
I do want to quickly demonstrate an iOS exclusive feature. And I emphasize this in that one weekend when I was bored, I built out this feature, as you do. And honestly, what I'm excited to see is, like, if people take up on this on Android, on iOS, we'd love to add it to Android as well. So if I can just quickly show you here, I'm going to add a marker right at the beautiful Inch Beach, which Owen, hopefully you'll be walking by and taking in these lovely views very soon. But I can tap on that marker there, and I can go down to this nice button down here, View on Street View. So when I tap that there, it loads the location. And where am I? I am right there. And honestly, I can't emphasize how helpful this has been for me. And look, again, at the very top, you get the grid reference, or latitude and longitude, if that was the current coordinate system you're in. And you can see it right there. You can move along here. Let's say you weren't in the right exact location there. You can move along, have the waypoint updated just like that to the new location. So again, it's very, very convenient. This is where Owen's looking for next weekend. He's like, where can I get that lovely, lovely view where I can sit down and have some of my coffee? And he's thinking, well, I probably shouldn't stand in the middle of the road, but you never know. He might decide to do that. And again, it's a super, super helpful feature. And I do find, particularly as you're kind of looking for different areas, honestly, sometimes if you even want to see what the top of a peak might look like, you can just zoom right in there, go ahead and add a waypoint there. Even just for consistency's sake, I'll go ahead and I'll restyle this to be a peak. I'll tap on save. I'll tap on that peak, and then I'll confidently tap on View on Street View.
Very confidently.
Wow. I see.
You've tested that before.
That's
pretty amazing.
Beautiful map ever.
No. You no. It's not going to work everywhere. But I have been surprised in the amount of locations that it worked that I did not expect it to work, because obviously Google Street View is based mostly on streets, and it's for street navigation. But it does actually work, that's incredible. That's so cool.
I challenge anybody watching this to find somewhere that it doesn't work and put it into the Facebook group. I challenge you.
Okay.
I heard that challenge.
Well,
me, I don't know. But I still challenge you.
First person to find Paul's failure wins something.
But no, I want to emphasize, it really is a really, really helpful feature. And again, if you just want to get a bit of perspective of what an area is like there, drop a waypoint down and then jump into the street view there, and it can just help to give that little bit more perspective on what that area is like. Again, it's particularly helpful for like road crossings, or even if you're just trying to see where a trail meets a road and you go, hey, is like easily accessible to get through there. Drop a waypoint down there, add it even in as a junction, what might be nice, and then ultimately jump into street view there, and it can be helpful. And really, really great feature.
Yeah. Worth pointing out as well that this is well used by kind of mountain rescue teams and things. So
good. So that's kind of goes back to what Paul was illustrating there, where they're using grid references, and they would so their teams would get a grid reference. They type it into HiiKER, set the waypoint, and then share that waypoint out to their teams, and they have it like for where the incident is, and then where the meeting point is, and then they all kind of congregate at the meeting point, and then they all have their route that's going to take them up to where the incident is. So yeah, it's used quite extensively by Irish and UK men's and rescue teams, and I think there's even one in the US that also use it as well. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if there's much more to go through with Waypoints, to be honest, other than
yeah, you didn't go too much of. I kind of panically went through some of the listings and the groupings, but it wasn't particularly good to go well for me. So you might give a look at that.
I'll just give a quick little demo. So again, I've added my very optimistic launch spot. I actually vote that we should run the live stream from there sometime. But anyway, I can tap on that new lovely launch spot that I've added there, and then I can scroll down to edit details. I can add to a group. I'm going to call this appropriately. I'm going to call this lovely launch spots, and just tap on the little plus button, and it's added just like that. You can tap on save, and I have my lovely launch spot there. But at any point in time, I can go into my waypoints again, the little marker symbol here with the plus, and then I can view my groups, and then right at the top there, my lovely launch spots. And I could make a whole collection of my best launch spots ever, and I can have them all in there. But again, I suppose the more typical use case is if you're hiking kind of, Carrauntoohil, and you have a couple of core spots that you want to stop at along the way, add those little markers in there. Always have them easily accessible inside your waypoint groups there that you can just get in like 1 or 2 taps. And yeah, it's just a quick and easy way to kind of organize and coordinate your waypoints for a particular trail, hike, or even just a general collection that you like to have.
Yeah. One of the things we were going to talk about was the points of interest. So points of interests further throughout the app. So what's the plan for that? So at the moment, the points of interest that we have, that database that you looked at earlier on, where you picked out that nice place for me to go and dingle, they're only accessible through trails. On the web, they are accessible via, with I suppose, any map. Well, not every single map, but some maps. What's the plan then for the app? Is it just to mirror what's going on in the web, or is it a little bit more complicated than that?
Well, honestly, myself and Pete, I suppose primarily myself, I've been kind of working on the database, but the big exciting element is we're hoping to add our monstrous collection, which I think, as you already said, is more than 300,000 POIs around the world. So we are hoping to very soon make them available on every single map on HiiKER. So no matter where you are, no matter what map you're looking on, no matter whether you're looking at a Harvey map, whether you're looking at a Purple Lizard map, whether you're looking at an Ordnance Survey map in the UK there, whether you're looking at the main map, whether you're looking at, planning a trail, you'll be able to see the context of all of our really great POIs everywhere. And that's a feature that we're super excited to get out. So yeah, watch this space, but I would say sometime in the coming 1 or 2 weeks, we're hoping to push that live.
Yeah, that's going to be great. It's going to be like that example there where you're just looking at the existing points of interest that are there and selecting what ones that you want. It's just going to be much more powerful than it is at the moment. A question in there from James O'Brien: are waypoints only viewable by you, the user? Are they private? Yes, they are private to you when you create, or sorry, they're only viewable by you. If you share them, they're viewable by other people, as in the person that you share to. You can make it private as well. So in that menu, Paul, if you just show up your phone there again, and go into your waypoint.
Here to any waypoints, edit details, and then I can just set the privacy down here. So if you set that to only you, it will remember it as well. So if you like always making your waypoints private, you only need to really set that once. And then whenever you go in and you create a new waypoint, it'll automatically persist to show the same kind of privacy for that one. So if I go in and edit details there, you can see it's automatically defaulted to only you. So again, it's just a handy feature there. So, but you can go ahead at any point in time if you want to share that waypoint, then you can make that public as well if you so choose to do so. But again, you have the control over that, and you can control the level of privacy just by editing the waypoint. Tap on edit details and scroll down to who can view, and then set whatever you like.
Now, just to be clear, I suppose, when you're sharing a waypoint, it's with the intention that the person you share it with adds it to their own waypoint collection, becoming their waypoint. So it's not as if it's a live waypoint that you can then move around and do stuff with, and it updates on their screen, which would be an interesting kind of concept, maybe shareable groups that you can kind of adjust and edit on the fly, and have that as a singular group that you're all looking at. But it's with the intention of sharing and adding to their collection.
So it's essentially a copy. You're copying. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay. Yep. That answers that question. So Robert here is just asking, is this going to be available afterwards? Absolutely is. Every single one of these streams is available on YouTube pretty much directly after the stream goes live. And it's across on YouTube on Facebook as well. And I'll be posting it into the Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. We don't have any other questions in from anybody, unless anybody has any last minute questions that they want to throw in. Other than that, is there anything else we want to throw into the waypoints?
Well, I just in terms of what we're doing with the product at the moment, and the updates that you've made, and the updates that then are going to unlock this kind of POI everywhere system. I'm just, I know maybe it's not that interesting that people want to hear, but I'm super excited about what it's going to unlock for the product. I do think the waypoints are at a point where they're very useful to people, but this is just going to change it. The fact that they're going to be everywhere, they're going to be available there for your planner. This database of 300,000 points is going to be available for you to do whatever you want with, view, plan routes, plan itineraries around. It's just going to unlock a next level to the product. And I'm just super excited. And not just that, but the performance of them in our initial tests, they're lightning fast. And I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, it's been very, very exciting. And as I said to you earlier on, Paul, my head's spinning with the amount of opportunities that this kind of technology is going to bring to us, in terms of sharing kind of these massive data sets that we have. So just a lot of cool things coming in the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Very, very excited.
Great. Okay. Well, look, guys, we'll leave it at that. If you any more questions in the audience and we missed them in the live stream, just pop them into the comments or jump into the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. We will be back on next week with another live chat. So until then, thanks very much. Cheers, lads. Join the Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. Join the Facebook.